Hello, this is Norma and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're a subscriber, thanks for coming back. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, like, hit the notification button so every time I upload a video, you'll be first to be notified. Today I'm making some nice oxtail with a kick, with a little bit of spice in it. So the ingredients you will need for the oxtail, I have some salt. I have some cayenne peppers. Like I told you, I love mine hot. I have some garlic that I've blended and have in my fridge. I have some seasoning, onion powder, black pepper, some thyme, some parsley. I'm going to be using avocado oil. I have some apple cider vinegar, hot sauce, butter beans, butter, browning, brown sugar, some green onions, some yellow onion, some red onions, and I have some oxtail that I've been soaking for about 30 minutes with some lime and salt. And now we're going to start making the oxtail. I'm going to take you to my sink. So I'm going to sprinkle some salt. And like I said, I have washed it and put it so it's not going to smell grimy and greasy. So even though I had it soaking for over 30 minutes, you can see some fat still coming out of it. And I'm going to do it one more time. And don't worry about the salt because as you wash it, it's going to come off. So the oxtail is all clean and ready to be cooked. So my oxtail is all clean. My hands are washed and now I'm going to cut my onions. And because you're going to fry it, it's going to caramelize. So even if you have it a little large, it'll be okay. And now we're on to the yellow one. So normally the best way to do your oxtail is to clean it, season it overnight in your fridge, and the season gets all through it. But today is Sunday, I decided to make some late, and nobody got time for that. So we're going to put it in the fridge for about 3 hours. So I've done my onions, and now I'm going to bring my oxtail and start to season. I'm going to start with the seasoning blend. It has a different seasoning. So this is half a tablespoon, so I'm using like 1.5. And I told you I like spice, so I'm going to use some cayenne pepper and a little bit of black pepper. I have some thyme, and that's like ½ a tablespoon. I have some parsley, And this is just some hot sauce. I'm going to put a little bit in there because I love spices. You don't have to put it if you don't want, but and maybe that's about half a tablespoon. And I'm going to put brownie. And because brownie gets a bitter taste, you have to be very careful. So I'm just using maybe about a teaspoon, and that should be okay. It browns it. And I have some garlic that I told you about. And this is about a tablespoon of garlic and some onion powder, about a teaspoon, and my seasoning. Some people don't do it, but I like to put a little bit of my avocado oil because it's going to go in the fridge. Just a dab. And then I'm going to mix it. So I'm blending it all together. Make sure you mix it all up. Mix it and make every bit get some of the seasoning and the brownie. And let me wash my hands and I'll be back. So now it's all mixed up. And I'm going to cover this. And put it in my fridge for 3 hours. So it's been 3 hours and I'm taking it out of the fridge and I'm going to take the oxtail, put it in another pan and leave the onions in this pan before I brown it. Let me put this aside and wash my hands and I'll be right back. So I'm about to brown it. So I'm going to take a little bit of butter, about this much, and put it in my pot and let it melt a little bit. So my butter is melting. And I'm going to put a little bit of brown sugar, maybe like a teaspoon. And that is optional. If you're diabetic or you don't like a lot of sugar, but I like it because the salt and the sugar mix, I think it's nice. So I'm waiting for it to start boiling over. And I put my pot now on medium heat. And now I'm going to start adding my oxtail. And I usually brown each side about 3 minutes. So my oxtail, I've done it like 3 minutes on each side, even on the side. And I get my oxtail, I love my oxtail big. And usually if I go to the grocery store, it's very small, so I go to the butcher and they can cut it as big as I want. So now that all sides have been coated, I'm about to add my onions. and my stove is still on medium. I'm going to let this cook down for about 8 minutes. Okay, so now I've been stirring it for about 8 minutes, and now I'm going to add some water. I'm going to start off adding about 6 cups of water first. It's still on medium heat. So I've added about 6 cups of water. I'm bringing it back up to a boil, and once it starts to boil, I'm going to turn it back on medium heat. And I know when it's done, I mean after 6 cups of water, I know I will have to add some more, but I start off with that first. Once it starts to boil, I'm going to turn it back to medium heat, and I'm going to cover my pot and let it cook for about 30 minutes, and I'll check my meat. Okay, so it's been cooking for 30 minutes on medium heat. And let me try the oxtail. It's still tough, so I'm going to put 3 more cups of water. I'm going to bring it up to a boil, and then I'm going to turn it back to medium heat, and I'm going to let it cook for 30 more minutes. It's been 30 minutes, so I'm going to check on my meat and use my fork. The oxtail was bigger, so it's a little bit tougher, so it has to cook a little bit more. What I'm going to do, I'm going to still leave it on medium heat, and I'm going to cover my pot and let it cook for another 25 minutes, and that should do it before I add my butter beans. It has been cooking for another 25 minutes, and I just moved my top, and so you can see it's perfect. It's coming off the bone. Now I'm going to add my butter beans. And make sure when you use your beans or any kind of can that you wash them, because coming from on the shelf, you don't know how it is. So I'm going to put in my butter beans. Since I don't have that many oxtail, I'm just putting a can of butter beans, and I'm going to stir it around. It's still on medium heat for another 10 minutes, and my oxtail with butter beans should be done. Now my butter beans and oxtail is all ready. I made some rice and peas that I'm going to put aside of my butter beans and oxtail. So this is my oxtail, butter beans, and rice and peas, the best.